Hey, Travis, how do I strengthen my low back, like this area?
There are two general ways that you can target that exercise. The first way is statically, where
Mhm.
that area of the body is not moving. And the second is dynamically, where that area of the body is moving.
Okay, I didn't realize that. That's so cool. What does that look like in terms of exercise?
There are three exercises that I think paint a good picture of
Hmm.
how you can target the body in both of those ways. So let's show them.
Okay.
The first exercise we're going to show is a good morning. And
Hmm.
that would be an example of an exercise that would be static in nature for the spine. So we're holding the spine rigid. There might be some movement that occurs, but we're trying to hold the spine rigid as we go through the torso lowering and raising. And we're sending the hips back, feeling a good stretch through the hamstrings. So in all of these exercises, it's not just the low back. It's going to
Right.
strengthen all of the muscles on the posterior or back side of the body. So we're talking hamstrings, glutes, and low back spinal erectors. But this is an example where you're holding that spine nice and still. It's moving rigidly as you're flexing, bending, and extending at the hips.
Got it. So that's like an example of statically strengthening the lumbar spine,
Right.
the
So
low
you have
back.
the kettlebell here. Your low back is the length of your torso away, and you're trying to maintain that rigidity as you raise and lower.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. So, what about another exercise?
Another good one is called a reverse hyperextension or a
What's
reverse
that?
hyper. And for this exercise, you would lie face down prone on a bench with your hips kind of at hip crease at the edge of the bench. You could also use a couple of chairs,
Hmm.
a couch, anything where you can get into the position and that you can hold on there. And from that position, Jenni simply extends her hips. She's showing a knees bent variation. You could also do it with the legs straight out behind you. But as you can see, her torso, her spine is staying relatively stable. It can't move that much because her belly is flush with the bench.
Right.
And she's again moving into hip extension. So she's activating the muscles on the backside of her body, glutes, hamstrings, and also low back. There will be some movement that occurs through the low back into
Hmm.
extension. So you'll definitely feel it in all of those places. But because the bench is blocking you, you can't move that much.
Right. So it's kind of like it's pretty static, but there's a little bit of dynamic nature
Yeah.
to
So
it.
that is a nice in between of the last version that exercise that we'll show,
And what's the last
which
exercise?
is called the Jefferson curl. So this is a full-on dynamic movement for the spine too, or the low back. Whereas the
Hmm.
other two, they were static somewhat, mostly at the spine, but they were dynamic at the hips. This one is dynamic in both regions. So Jenni's standing on two yoga blocks just to give her a little extra height so she can go into an increased range of motion. And then she's performing a spinal roll down one vertebrae at a time till she gets to the end of her range of motion, feels a good stretch through her hamstrings. So you can see that she's moving dynamically into a rounded back position and then back up into an extended position. So again, all three of those backside muscles, low back muscles, glutes, hamstrings, but
Like
that
all
one
this.
perhaps most effectively of all of the three for getting the low back specifically.
Right, right. And then especially in like a movement sense, like that
Right.
dynamic sense.
Right. So that
Cool.
might be a nice progression of exercises if you were
Yeah.
interested in targeting this area to start with the good mornings and then go to the reverse hypers over a period of a few weeks maybe and
Hmm.
finally work up to those Jefferson curls.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. I feel much more empowered in understanding this area of my body and how I can target and strengthen it.
I'm so glad.